The hotel was a monument to beige. It was one of those interchangeable corporate hives you find near airports, a place where the air itself tastes recycled and the art on the walls is so bland it achieves a sort of anti-art, a visual vacuum. Business hotels are transient places filled with people on different schedules. I drifted off again, only to be jolted awake half an hour later by a rhythmic, dull thumping. Thump, thump, thump. It was the unmistakable sound of a headboard against a wall. I groaned, buried my head under the thin pillow, and cursed the amorous, inconsiderate travelers below. The sound was a nuisance, nothing more, or so I told myself. I was on day 3 of a 4-day marketing conference, my brain soured by PowerPoint presentations and forced networking. I'm sorry, sir, but that's not possible. Room 712 is vacant. It's scheduled for a deep cleaning tomorrow, so we've had it blocked off all week. Perhaps the sound is traveling from another room. The acoustics in these older buildings can be strange. The conference had been draining, a marathon of handshakes and plastic smiles. I collapsed into bed before midnight, praying for silence. Kevin, I can assure you, it's not. I hear someone moving around. It sounds like they're, I don't know, tearing up the carpet. Can you just send someone to check, please? The hotel was my reality, the sounds my only truth. I skipped the farewell conference dinner, ordering room service I'd barely touched. I sat in the dark, waiting. It was followed by a sound like a large, wet canvas being wrung out. Then, for the first time, a voice. A low, gurgling moan of what could have been pain, or pleasure, or both. It was a sound of pure, inhuman extremity. Eventually, the sounds faded into the hotel's ambient hum. Instead, an insane rage, born of sleeplessness and terror, took hold of me. It was as if the entire world beneath my floor was holding its breath. A triumphant grin touched my lips. I had won. I had silenced the beast. I stood there in the middle of my room, savoring the quiet victory. I was done being the passive listener. I stood up on my bed, the springs groaning in protest, and I jumped. I landed hard on the floor, the impact jarring my teeth. I jumped again and again, putting all my weight, all my frustration into each impact. I was screaming without making a sound, a primal physical rebuttal to the horror below. I crawled back into bed, but I didn't sleep. It's been replaced by a new sound coming from the ceiling, a very soft, very slow scraping noise. It was so loud, so violent, the light fixture shook and rained dust down on my face. It was the sound of a colossal fist striking the floor of the room above mine. A room that I knew with sudden, soul-shattering certainty was also vacant. I just watched the ceiling, feeling the phantom vibrations of the room below. My gaze snapped upwards to the pristine, white plaster of my ceiling. The sound hadn't been coming from room 712. It had never been coming from below. The dragging, the tearing, the wet whispers, they had been here. In my room, the entire time. A heavy, scraping noise that moved slowly from one side of the room below to the other. It was the sound of someone trying to move a piece of furniture they couldn't lift. It went on for 10 agonizing minutes before stopping abruptly. The noise wasn't in the hall. It was directly beneath my feet. It was a presence right here with me, projecting the sound downwards to play with its food. A predator hiding in plain sight, amusing itself with a simple, terrifying misdirection. And now I had its full attention. I had banged on its floor. I had looked up. I slid out of bed and pressed my ear to the bland, patterned carpet. The wet sounds had stopped, replaced by a soft, rhythmic dripping and something else, a faint, watery whisper. I started to feel foolish, a paranoid fool spooked by pipes and settling foundations. Maybe Kevin was right. I was just about to give in to sleep when it started, louder and clearer than ever before. It was too muffled to be speech, more like the exhalation of a word than the word itself. I lay there, heart pounding, listening to the silence. Then came a new sound, a wet sound. A thick, sluicing, tearing noise that I couldn't and didn't want to identify. It held for a while. Then, around 2 a.m., it began. All I wanted from room 713 was oblivion, a soft bed, and 8 hours of dreamless, silent sleep. On the first night, I got it. The second night, I met the occupant of room 712, but the noise from the room below me, 712 is, well, it's very loud. It started around 1 a.m., a muffled thud, like a heavy suitcase being dropped. I rolled over, annoyed but unsurprised. The third night, the nuisance became a violation. It wasn't a headboard this time. It was a dragging sound. My tired annoyance curdled into genuine unease. This wasn't normal. I picked up the phone and dialed the front desk. A young man with a preternaturally cheerful voice answered. "Front desk, this is Kevin." "Hi, Kevin. This is Alex in room 713. I'm sorry to bother you." There was a pause, a series of soft clicks as he typed on a keyboard. His certainty was a splash of cold water. "Vacant?" "I understand, sir, but our system shows the room is empty and locked." His professional dismissal made my skin crawl. I knew what I heard. I knew where it was coming from. He sighed, the cheerfulness momentarily cracking. "Of course, sir. We'll send security to do a walkthrough of the hall." I thanked him and hung up, but I knew it was useless. I stayed like that for what felt like an hour, a grown man kneeling on a hotel floor, listening to the secrets of an empty room. The fourth and final night, I was a wreck. I considered demanding a new room, but was held back by a perverse, morbid curiosity. I had to know. Midnight passed. Silence. It was the dragging sound again, but it was frantic now. Then the thumping, but it was irregular, brutal. I didn't call the desk. I knew what they'd say. Then I stopped, panting, and listened. Absolute silence. Not the regular silence of the hotel, but a deep, profound, listening silence. The dripping, the whispers, the humming all gone. That's when it happened. It wasn't a sound from the floor. It was a sound from the ceiling. Bang. A single cataclysmic impact directly above my head. I froze, my blood turning to ice water in my veins. It wasn't an occupant in the room below me. I am still standing here in the center of room 713. I haven't moved. I can't. Because the silence is gone now. The sound of something dragging itself across the floor of the empty room above, heading for the space right over my bed.